Pretty much every prayer book that I've seen will tell you to say the Our Father at least twice a day, usually in the morning and in the evening, at least. Different prayer books probably differ, but I think that at minimum they're agreed that we should say that prayer twice a day. And personally, I think one of the most challenging lines in the prayer is that part where we say, "Thy will be done." Because sometimes saying to God, "Thy will be done," means my will not be done. And that's unpleasant, at least for me. And if we look at the readings for today, we learn part of that will. At the end of our reading from the letter to the Hebrews, our English translation says, "Do not neglect good deeds and generosity. God is pleased by sacrifices of that kind." And if we look at the Greek text behind that line, the word generosity there is translating the same Greek word that is used to refer to communion, to fellowship, to brotherhood, yes, to generosity, but to shared life. Not just giving somebody my trash because I don't need it, but really sharing my life with them. And this can indeed be a sacrifice. The letter to the Hebrews tells us that this is a sacrifice pleasing to God, which is good because most of us have probably had the experience where sharing our life with another person is a sacrifice. People can be difficult to live with. And yet, when we look at the 6 ecumenical councils that we celebrate today, most of these are concerned in some way to guard the fact that even though life together is difficult, the Son of God truly came to earth and truly shared our life to the full. He totally enters into our life, enters into what it is to be human, and sacrifices himself for us. Sacrifices himself, St. Paul says, while we're still his enemies. The Son is able to truly say to the Father, "Thy will be done." And when we look at the 6th Ecumenical Council in particular, that affirms that the Son has both the divine will that he shares with his Father, but also truly and really a human will, just like any of us. That the Son's humanity is as true and real and complete as any of ours, and in his human will, he is always perfectly in union with the divine will. The Son is really human with everything that makes us human, and at the same time, that human will is always in line with the will of God. It is always saying, "Thy will be done," to the point that the will of God is the will of the Son in his humanity. And this shows us that the human will is capable of being made able to obey God by union with the Son. Obviously, in a different way, for us by grace, for him because it is the human will of the Son, but for us, this comes about by grace. And it's through this will that we are saved. By his obedience in his human will, the Son saves us. So, with this in mind, with the fact that in his humanity, the Son offers himself for us. The Son is always turned towards the Father. The Son is always saying to the Father, "Thy will be done." Let's also ask for the grace for each of us to be able to say to God, "Thy will be done," even when it means my will not be done. So that our human will shares in the intention of the human will of the Son, and that even, and perhaps especially when it means the sacrifice of sharing not only our means, but our very lives with each other. We live in a time when there is much division in the world, and we're summoned to be above that, to be better than that, to share our lives with each other, even when we get on each other's nerves, even when we get frustrated with each other, but to always have that attitude of Christ, that attitude of the Son of God who became the Son of Man for our sake, which is always turned towards the Father, saying, "Thy will be done," and which is always sharing his life with us, which is always joining himself to us for the sake of our salvation. So let's ask that we may join our will with his and cooperate with him for both our salvation and the salvation of the whole world.